The movie begins by showing a man lying on a hospital bed with a breathing device. There is a point of view of the person tending to him. The person takes a syringe and injects the man on the bed with it. After that, the man starts shaking excessively. The point of view individual then takes off the breathing device, and blood comes out of the man's mouth. This causes two doctors to come to his aid. After they have seemingly failed at helping the man, a voiceover begins. A female calls herself Anya Fedorova. We then see her writing a letter at a desk and saying she was responsible for the failure of the vaccine and the death of her associate. She states that he ran a test on himself that was not tested before, and now work on the vaccine needs to be shut down. The voiceover then stops and some official tells her that she could learn from her mistakes and continue with the project. He adds that if she quits, then her associate died for nothing. And he further says that the ends justify the means, and if she succeeds, then it will justify everything that happened here. The next scene shows the inside of a building. A lady plays piano. It is Anya. Other people sit at a table nearby. When she is done playing, a man congratulates her for making a vaccine in a short time. After that, they start eating and watching TV. A lady there then tells Anya that there is a man on the phone for her. She goes to it and starts speaking. It is the official that spoke to her before. He tells her that 20 people went missing at the Korabul Hole, and that it is also a secret research lab. He wants her to go there, but she tells him that a rescue mission is not her profile. However, she agrees to it nonetheless. The scene changes to Anya flying in a helicopter with several others. They then arrive at a facility in the snow. While they are still in the helicopter, they see a man coming at them. They resort to shooting him, but he stands up after having fallen down. This amazes the crew. The man then takes out a grenade and explodes with it. The shockwave breaks the windows and knocks the people in it to the other side. After that, Anya goes to check out the body. A man comes to her while she does. He introduces himself as Sergei Mikheyev. We then see Anya collect a sample of the body into a small tube. Meanwhile, some official comes to the man Anya spoke to earlier, Colonel Morozov. The colonel asks him what happened, and the man answers that the man that exploded went out of control. He stole a grenade and was so strong that 3 people could not hold him down. In the next scene, Anya tends to people on the bus. The man she tends to tells her that some people are all dead. Anya asks him about the disease, and he says that it's not a disease. He says that it's hell down there. After the bus, Colonel Morozov and Anya walk. Then a man named Peter Kuznetsov comes to them and says he is the head of research at Kola Superdeep. They then ride in a vehicle, and with them is Dr. Grigoriev. He asks them for a guarantee that the survivors get safely evacuated. When they arrive at the research facility, they all enter with a squad of military men. Dr. Grigoriev tries to enter the password to the elevator but misses it twice. He gets it, however, on his 3rd attempt. While they ride in the elevator strapped in, Anya and Peter speak about Anya's profession. During the descent, they discover that the elevator brakes do not work. So Dr. Grigoriev makes a change to the elevator and puts on an oxygen mask. The rest of the crew passes out while he does not. When the elevator finally descends, Dr. Grigoriev takes the key and a briefcase before he leaves by himself. After some time, they all wake up. A man wakes Anya and gets her out of her straps. The guards act alert as they all walk around the area. Peter then tells them that there is an even lower level, and without the key that Dr. Grigoriev took, they cannot use the second elevator to get there. The guards then break into a room and discover 2 people there. They tell them to get their hands up. While they are being held up, Peter tells them that the lady is Dr. Kira. She tells them that Dr. Grigoriev ordered them to stay here until he returned. After that, Peter says that the man is Nikolai the engineer. Anya tells them that she needs to examine both of them. But Nikolai wants to do things his way and says that he's going way up. As he tries to leave, the guards stop him and nearly assault him. In an attempt to defend him, Kira says he will do anything they say. Later on, we see Nikolai getting examined. When she is finished, Anya tells Morozov that they are both clean. Then in the hallway, when Anya is alone, Dr. Grigoriev appears and says to her that she makes them return to the surface. He adds that he cannot give her the key. Once he finishes speaking, Anya yells out to the others that he is here. The guards arrive and shoot at him, but the elevator doors close in time to possibly save him. Morozov then tells Nikolai to open the elevator, but he tells him he cannot. Later, we see the squad in heat-resistant suits. Nikolai tells them that it's 200 degrees down where they decided to go. In response to that, he gets told that the suits could withstand 300 degrees. Afterwards, they stand near the elevator, and the doors open. A female stands there that they take in. Her name is Olga, and asks her how she got here without a hazard suit. She also asks her what happened down there from where she came. Then she undoes her shirt from the back, and we see a severely grotesque growing there. Anna takes a small sample of it, and then later examines it. She states that she does not understand how Olga survived with such tissue damage. She adds that this life she found is unknown to science. Anya then comes back to her and finds her lying on the floor. Elsewhere, Nikolai says to Morozov that he started the lift and it will arrive in 1 hour. Kira then observes Olga from behind the glass. She witnesses how Olga's fingers begin to twist irregularly, and after that, she slams into the glass. Anya looks around the facility by herself. When she walks into a certain room, she gets a flashback of her associate getting out of the bed he died in and walking toward her. Then the room undergoes some sort of explosion and the flashback goes away. Nikolai comes to her and gives her a hand. He then demonstrates to the crew what will happen to this facility in 1 hour by stepping on and crushing a soda can. He says that Dr. Grigoriev damaged the pressure pump and the entire place will be smashed because of it. He then gets into an argument with Sergei, and Sergei starts attacking him. After that, Morozov tells them that they are moving through the shaft, but Sergei says that he wants to get his crew member Igor off. Morozov, however, orders that they go up. Later, Sergei and Anya enter the room where Olga stood behind the glass. They find that Olga is there fused to the floor due to the grotesque mold on her back, but they see that she is still alive. At the door, Morozov tells Anya to get a sample, while she tries getting it with Sergei. The mold emits a gas that flies in Sergei's face. Anya starts moving, and the substance keeps emitting gas. She then finds a gas mask and puts it on. While there, she hears a female speaking. The female comes out, and it is a deformed Kira. She has transformed in much the same way as Olga, and she attempts to attack Anya, but Anya runs away. And as she runs, she gets an image of herself falling down somewhere without end. Another image then comes of her associate that died. He comes to the screen and grabs it with his hands as if it were Anya. He then says that nothing is worse than the betrayal of their principles. When the images end, Anya tries to escape the room. She uses a fire extinguisher near the door before exiting. When she does, she tells Nikolai to use the fire extinguisher on her. Then they get reunited with the others. While there, Morozov asks her if she got the samples, but she states that she needs to tend to Sergei. While she gets ready, she tells them that Kira attacked her in the lab. Then she comes to Sergei and says that she needs to know if he's infected. She gets asked why Kira attacked her, but there is no response to that question. Morozov then asks Peter to tell him what's this parasite. Peter tells him that the fungus forces eggs to return to the nest. Afterwards, it releases semen to infect. As Anya tends to Sergei, we see that he looks less than normal. She thanks him for saving her life, and he says to her that he would have liked to meet her under better circumstances. Morozov then tells Peter that what he told him means that Olga returned to the nest. After that, Anya takes Morozov into a cold room. She tells him that the parasite's weak spot is the cold. She takes out the sample she collected and shows him how it freezes in the tube in that cold room. Then she says that they should evacuate all survivors from the resort and call back Igorov's group. But Morozov says that there is no one coming. Anya responds by saying that Olga and Kira could have been alive if she acted as a doctor. Then she says how many more people have to die until they realize they lost. She finalizes her point by stating that this is not a war. But Morozov disagrees with that point and says that it is. He says that their country is falling apart and they need a weapon that makes them stronger. If their country falls apart, then all who died for it died for nothing. The next scene has them all wearing hazard suits. When they stand ready, Sergei gets a call from Igorov. They hear gunfire over the radio. Sergei wants to rescue his men, but others like Nikolai argue against it. They then all get into a heavy argument, but eventually, they open the doors before them and walk inside. They hear gunfire coming from there. Nikolai says that they have to close the doors. Another says that they should wait instead. But Nikolai asks to wait for what? Shortly after, they see someone come out. They drag him in and Anya takes off his mask. She then says that he's alive. Another one then comes out with a missing arm. As he comes closer, he brings a knife to himself to subtract his life. Then Anya enters a room where she sees a scared man. He says that something attacked them in there. Then he tells Anya that they should not have opened the door because now it knows where they are. Some of them stand before the heavy doors and hear how something slams into them. They all then run away. While away and hiding, Sergei starts feeling bad and Anya tries to comfort him. She tells him that all of them are getting out of there. But Sergei says that it is too late for him, he feels something inside. Afterwards, he starts yelling in pain. He and his people stay at that level and want to deal with whatever it is that's with them. As Morozov leaves, he says good luck to them. We then see Anya, Peter, Nikolai, and Morozov sitting in the second elevator, descending to the lower level. While they go down, the brakes on this one also do not seem to work. They panic, but then Anya gets up and struggles to move. Eventually, however, she locates and activates the emergency brakes. The elevator then stops and they all exit safely. They then enter a room that appears frozen. Anya opens a cabinet and says that there is nothing left here. As they keep investigating the room, Peter finds a recorder and plays it. Someone, possibly Dr. Grigoriev, says that all of his life he has dreamt of building this place, and now he wants to destroy it. He continues by saying that no one realized what it really was. That millions of years ago the Ice Age must have stopped it from taking over the planet. The crew sees people fused to a wall while the tape plays. Then Morozov says to Anya that Dr. Grigoriev was right, it all has to stay here. He says that if he gets out of here, then he would not be able to keep silent about it. He tells Anya that people out there need her more than they need him. And then he says that when she goes back to the surface, she should ask for some general that he gives her the name of. He tells her that he will look after her. Then he gives her his watch and tells her he will try to return in 5 minutes with the key that they need. 3 minutes later, Anya announces that 3 minutes have gone by. She says to Nikolai and Peter that all who were here sacrificed their lives so no one would find out what happened in this place. She adds that if they get out, then none of them should tell anyone what happened down here. But Nikolai says that they can't get out without the key. And Anya continues to say that someday someone might come here to study the phenomenon here, and that could cause a catastrophic problem. To this, Nikolai says that she is correct and that they will keep quiet about it. Then Peter asks if they will just leave them there. Shortly after, Nikolai states who is the next to go, since Morozov is not returning. Anya stands up and goes behind the doors. The other two then run to the door and call her name. Anya puts on a gas mask and runs in. While there, she gets overwhelmed by the heat, and then she sees someone lying there in a suit. She flips him over and it is Morozov. He has the key in his hand. She takes it and then takes off her gas mask because she cannot see with it. She looks in the back and sees a giant red unknown substance covering the wall. Anya suffers getting out of the room, but when she does, we see Nikolai carry her out and then tend to her upon placing her down. Shortly after, Peter comes to them and tells Nikolai to give him the key. Then he points a gun at him. Very quickly after that, Peter shoots him in the leg. Nikolai calls him a fool. Afterwards, Peter reveals his true nature by stating that he plans to show the phenomenon here and claiming it as his biggest discovery. He further says that the whole world will know him for that. Nikolai then gives him the key. After that, they use the elevator to go back up. When they get out, Nikolai struggles with his leg. But despite his injury, Peter tells him to go first since it is dangerous out there. To this, Nikolai badmouths Peter, and Anya then goes to check out the situation. She walks for some time and then finds a gun lying on the floor, which she picks up. But when she turns around, Peter is behind her, pointing a gun in her direction. He gestures that she drops her gun, and she does. She then asks where is Nikolai, and Peter says that he could be dead and that maybe she should go check on him. Soon after, a grotesque monster appears and claims Peter. Anya runs from it and then hides behind a flip table in a room. While hiding, she hears screams and moans. The monster enters the room. Anya then locates a knife, takes it, and runs away to hide in a room. In that room, she sees a bucket full of cold water that holds champagne bottles. She puts her hand in the water and then quickly takes it out in heavy discomfort. Afterwards, she takes out the champagne bottles and pours the icy cold water on herself. Then she leaves the room and sees the monster close by. She gets on the floor and starts cutting parts of the monster with her knife. Then she gets up and runs off. After a short time, she returns to Nikolai. She picks him up, and he asks where is Peter. She shows him the key that she just acquired as she was engaged in the cutting. And then she says that he is not coming with them. As they struggle to walk due to Nikolai's injured leg, a wall violently breaks near them. Out of that wall comes out the grotesque monster. It follows Anya, but she does not stop. Eventually, she and Nikolai make it to the elevator. They try closing the doors, but they are malfunctioning and the monster is fast approaching. Then it comes near and sticks its arm in. It almost hurts Anya, but Nikolai punches in a code at the terminal and the door closes. The elevator ascends after that. While feeling a lot safer there, they then find a fused and transformed Sergei. He is just about unidentifiable, and Anya probably only gets to know it is him by his voice. He slowly speaks to her, and then tells her to not let him go to the surface. Listening to him, she stops the elevator and says that they cannot go up. Nikolai takes her off the panel and says that he's not dying. He then turns it back on, but Anya takes out the key this time and stops it with a stronger statement. She tells him that they have to crush the lift. At this point, Nikolai starts attacking her. He puts the key back in and the lift goes up once more. But in response to this, Anya kicks him and knocks him down. Nikolai attempts to end her, and this causes Sergei to remove his arm from the floor that it is fused to and use it to end Nikolai instead. After that, Anya kisses Sergei. Then she looks at herself and notices that she glows red. She gives the elevator another stop after that and falls to the floor. But much to her chagrin, the lift starts ascending on its own, and Anya hears a voice say that it will reach the surface soon. She tries using the emergency brake again, but it does not work. She then even takes out the key, but the lift still goes up. She then struggles to enter some code at the panel. When she falls down, suited personnel come in and pick her up. As they do, she hits the button on the panel, activating the self-destruct countdown. When they drag her out, the elevator goes down. The next scene has Anya riding in a vehicle with several military personnel. She falls onto one of them, and then sits back up with a stolen grenade. After that, she tells them not to move. As the vehicle is riding, from outside of it we hear her yell to stop the car. They stop it and she exits. Personnel approaches her as she stands with the grenade. They yell at her to put it down, but we hear her take off the pin before the screen goes black. She did not allow the parasite to win.